Alright everyone, I'm going to go ahead and start up this one. This is a how-to slash how to do in-game content, which is any of the epics for control wizards. Just a couple hours ago I did the one for my tank, which is my main, but I know how to play control wizards decently. I have no clue how to play the other three though. So, as a control wizard, your main job is to control, which means you're not sitting there trying to maximize your DPS, you're trying to maximize your control effects and your action point gains so you can use your dailies more often. Alright, so let's start off with character. Gear doesn't matter like with the other video, I'm level 47. Now let's go to powers. Alright, magic missile. It's going to be your main attack. Pew pew things. Cool. Secondary, Ray of Frost. You'll probably never use Ray of Frost, but it will freeze. It will, freeze things and lets you get your whatever. Storm Pillar is another option that you could do. Storm Pillar allows is decent in PvP, and that's that. Now for class features. Class features are going to be Eye of the Storm. So whenever you use a power, you have 5% chance to make all your attacks critical for up to 8 seconds. So that just chains and chains and chains and chains. And the other one is, I'm using Storm Spell and Evocation. You're going to probably want to do Evocation. Well, like, the other one isn't as super important. Ugh, dang, I'm yawning a lot. I must not have got very much sleep last night. Orb of Imposition, pretty good effect as well. You'll be able to take all of them, so experiment depending on what you feel. Evocation, Storm Spell. The maximum amount of I need to do my job 100%, which you would go the Orb of Imposition. Anyways. Now for your encounter powers. Your encounter powers are going to be your shield, which is on right now, which I'd say shield pulse rather than shield. Here it is. So what this does is your first cast, it will create an effect on you where you take a lot less damage. And then once it's up, when you cast it again, it'll do a really big repel effect. This is really key. It will hit everything nearby, which is part of the combo to hit everything nearby. Your other abilities are going to be Conduit of Ice. Conduit of Ice will create an AoE around the target, and it'll do damage to everything in that area. So when they're all grouped together, you'll do great AoE damage. I'm using Icy Terrain. Icy Terrain is unique. It's one of those ones that you do not have to. I don't have full points into it yet. It's one of the ones that you don't have to use. It's there's a couple other options you can do besides Icy Terrain. For instance, Steal Time is a good choice. And what are some other choices? Entangling Force is pretty decent as well. Kenson's on. I'll have to get his attention. Maybe I can get a good group going for Mad Dragon on my dude. Ice Strike is single targety, so when you are doing single target fights, you could put that on. It's an option. And now for your Arcane Mastery ability. I'm currently using Sudden Storm, so when I can get all those enemies Sudden Stormed all in one spot. Oh, Kenson's off again. Yes. When I get them all in one spot and do the Chain Lightning, it'll keep chaining in between them and do quite a bit of damage. However, that isn't necessarily the right and most best thing to do. Sometimes you're going to want to put where is it? Ray of Enfeeblement. If you want to make sure you burn the boss down as much as possible, Ray of Enfeeblement is the way to go for your Arcane Mastery. And the reason you have to do the Arcane Mastery Ray of Enfeeblement is because under that effects, you will get 2 charges of radiant enfeeblement, and you chain those both together on the target, and it'll create a huge debuff that will make the boss or whatever you're using him on take an insane amount of damage from all sources. So that's why you put Raven Fuel there, and single target, bossy, burn the boss, where you don't have to worry about ads type fight. Now for your dailies are going to be Arcane Singularity and Oppressive Force, which are, hey look, the first 2 you get. So Arcane Singularity is 99% of the time the spell you're going to be casting. Arcane Singularity will suck up all monsters nearby and throw them in, all monsters that aren't immune, will throw them into the air and spin them around and then deposit them back down. However, when they get all pulled up in the air, just at the end of the spell, before they come back down, the cusp, when they're at the very top, you're going to want to actually activate the repel effect of your shield attack. What this will do, it'll launch them super far away, which is great for all those boss fights where they have lots and lots of ads that you need to knock them off into a pit so they'll die instantly. That's how you do it. And when you do it just right, your shield will automatically come back off of cooldown, so you can recast it right after knocking them all away. And for some reason, the shield repel will create massive amounts of action points when you cast it. So it'll get you, since you just pop your daily, hopefully generally people go daily, conduit of ice, then position themselves and use shield repel. If you're already in position, a great thing to do is icy terrain, because then they're taking damage from being cold effects. Oh, just read something from Guild Chat. So you suck them up, conduit of ice them, and then you repel them all away, and your action points will be between like 15% and 50%. It can be as crazy as 50%. So that's pretty much. And the reason you also have Oppressive Force is when you're fighting against things that just can't be thrown up and deposited, another option is because it'll daze all the enemies. And dazed enemies won't hit things. So when they're not hitting things, it'll keep people alive. And those are the abilities that you use. Now for your feats. Oh, let's go back over here. Power for your stats. Intelligence, Wisdom. Intelligence, Wisdom, Intelligence, Wisdom. Never put it in Charisma because action point gain is too valuable. Because that's your job. It's action point gain. Feats. Alright, so we got 5. This is a cookie cutter build. 5 points controlled action. 1 point in weapon mastery. 3 points Wizard's Wrath. 5 points fight on. Here I'll go over each of them. 1 point weapon mastery increases your critical by just a bit. Fight on, so your encounters come off cooldown faster. Wizard's Wrath, your area effect powers will do more damage. Arcane Enhancement, your arcane powers do more damage. Focus Wizardry, your area effect powers do more damage. Now you're going to want to go down thermometer, whatever, this one, the middle one. You're going to pick up 5 points Tempest Magic. So when they're at low health, you do more damage. Malevolent Surge, when you kill a foe, you deal more damage for a while, up to 30% additional damage. So when you're doing all that AoE and the tiny little dudes die, all the bigger dudes are going to take more damage for quite a while. Your cold powers deal 20% more damage if they're not affected by chill, and since your only chill effect is going to be icy terrain, is going to be conduit of ice / icy terrain. The icy terrain will create the chill effect, and the conduit of ice will do great damage. Don't really take either of those. And you're going to want to take 5 points in elemental empowerment. This causes both your arcane and your cold and counter effects to do better. Your cold, like for instance, that's why I use Icy Terrain, because it'll make my cold and counter effects will make my weapon damage over time to their targets. So anything in that AoE is going to take a little bit of damage. And my arcane spells, like my repel, will do even more damage and weaken the targets. And finally, assailing force, which turns my conduit of ice, mitigates the target, so they'll take even more damage because they won't have any defenses. And then I go down to Reaper's Touch, 5 points in there. When I'm close to the enemy, which I'm going to be because I want to drop Icy Terrain, I'm going to do, hey look, 30 additional damage. And what was the other one? Nightmare Wizardry, I believe it was, or maybe it was Critical Power. Yeah, it's Critical Power. Whenever you land a critical hit, you gain 5% of your action points, so you crit, gain a lot more back, even more. And that's it. Like those last 5 points, they're really, more flavory. Generally, people are going to want you to go Critical Power. At least when you're getting the gear, you're working on your gear and getting all the recovery that you can manage, you're going to want to take it. But once, you have, you're into good tier 2 content, you have quite a few items from there, then it's not so important to min-max to get every little ounce, because it's on a 10-second cooldown, so it's not like every time you critical 5% of your action points. That would be just too insane. And now for gearing choices. Ignore the fact that my character currently doesn't reflect this. Recovery is the only stat that matters, but not to the point to where everything else is garbage. What you want to do is anything that has you want to pick up the the epics with high recovery. You want to socket high recovery. You want to get the cat because it gives the highest amount of recovery. Just recovery, recovery, recovery. Most important. Miles behind the amount of recovery you can get, power, armor penetration, critical strike. Those are good. They're nowhere near as important as recovery. Just get as much recovery as you can. Anything that has recovery on it is more important than anything that doesn't. Which means that the best in slot item is actually going to be a belt that has recovery. You could, get the vendor belt that gives recovery and maximum life and critical, but your critical is already going to be really low value because, whenever you crit, or 8% of your time, whereas at the Eye of the Storm says, hey look, I'm always critting, ha 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 ha, 15% of the time I just crit, so it really lowers the value of critical. Companion, like I said, cat, for the same reason I said in my tank video, where anything you put in these slots is going to directly add to your character, but since you also can put Eldritch Runestones on them, that also will increase it by up to 8% additional. So the best gear you have should go on your cat. Your second best should go on your character. The first two are going to be offensive slots. You're going to want to fill those with, I believe, recovery. You can fill those with rune stones that give recovery. Not 100% sure. And then the third slot is going to be defense, like it is on her, where you want to put an Eldritch Runestone in it. Yeah, this character has a dog too. So yeah, cat is the best companion. And that is your guide to doing mage right. Arcane Singularity with Conduit of Ice with the Shield Repel. Just do that and everyone will love you and you're the best caster there is. Don't do that, you're bad. Not bad, but whenever I see a mage using Ice Storm, I want to cut their eyes out, because why are you doing a knockback if it doesn't have a huge benefit, whereas the Shield Repel does have a huge benefit. I chose to be a what do they call it? Tiefling, because the stat bonuses they give you is good positions, and the Infernal Wrath is pretty cool, and when targets are below half health you do a little more damage. It's all good. Alright, good luck on being a cool mage.